Now recognizes the gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Griffith, for 5 minutes for his question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Jump, we've been hearing all this stuff going on, and y'all know what you're talking about, and some of us have some idea of what you're talking about. But we got all these folks who'll be watching this either now or sometime in the middle of the night when we're the rerun on C-SPAN. So could you give us an example of a common legacy medical device where a backdoor into the system may be present, but the capability of generating an alert is not?
I'm not sure I could give you an example other than the example of the context situation that we've been discussing. However, as has been mentioned previously from other folks on this panel, there are not a lot of ways of monitoring when this is happening, right? So from my perspective, I think it is very important that we put a lot of focus on preemptively finding these issues through risk management and testing these devices to make sure that we understand what kind of soft spots are there in the form of vulnerabilities. So whether it's a backdoor, whether it's another way of entering a medical device, either for malicious behavior inside the medical device or for pivoting into a hospital as an easy access point, all of those aspects are there.
So the concern is if you're at a hospital, they may be getting data on the population in general. Is that correct?
There's a long-standing concern for privacy breaches in hospitals from a variety of sources. However, I'm not aware of any instance where there has been a backdoor has been the source of that, like we've talked about here.
And then another concern might be that if and I heard somebody in the opening statements say that there was a concern about, a device that had been discovered, and while it might not be used that way, there was a backdoor way to maybe turn the device off, so that if we found ourselves in a conflict with China or some other nation that makes some of these devices and they had a way to turn it off, they could, along with all the other typical wartime things that are done, they could turn off a bunch of medical devices. In theory, and they could turn those devices off, create chaos in the domestic scene. Is that correct? Is that one of the concerns?
I'm not aware of that concern.
Somebody raised that issue. Yes, sir. Mr. Decker, go for it.
Yeah, I raised pre-positioning malware. So the challenge. So we know that it's been publicly announced. The Five Eyes have announced that they've done this in water and communications. We don't know if it's happening in healthcare. It's a largely unanswered question at this point. I think the way to answer that question is to get together with our national intelligence apparatus, with our HDOs, our health delivery organizations, with the medical device manufacturers, put it under clearance, clear the entire task force and study, and actually study this problem. Bring the academics in and see where this could occur. The problem is on the delivery side, we're unaware of the intelligence outside of what comes through the flash reports from the FBI and CISA.
And you mentioned Five Eyes for the folks back home. Five Eyes is?
Yeah, that's the 5 intelligence agencies: United Kingdom, United States of America, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada.
Canada, right. All right. Dr. DeMeff, last Congress, the subcommittee saw the effects of a large cybersecurity incident with United Health, but on a smaller scale, have you seen an example of an incident where vulnerabilities were not being assessed and it contributed to patient harm or operational disruptions?
I think the best example of that is ransomware. It's a scourge upon healthcare. We are the most commonly targeted critical infrastructure for it. Those are vulnerabilities in healthcare infrastructure. They are attacked. Malware and ransomware is deployed. And what we see as a consequence of that is huge cascading failures, not just at the hospitals that are infected, but also in the regions around them. So I'll give an example. There was a ransomware attack in San Diego in 2021. 5 hospitals went out. The adjacent hospitals to those ransomed hospitals saw huge spikes in emergency department visits, waiting times, ambulance traffic skyrocketed. We did a follow-up study about a year later that looked at what happened to patients that had cardiac arrest, their heart stopped, and they needed something like CPR. We looked at their outcomes from the same attack and saw a 10-fold decrease in their survivability just because there was a ransomware attack in the city. These are the true meaningful patient impacts to these types of cyber attacks. Legacy medical devices are one risk of that, but there are still many other ways that these adversaries are getting into our hospitals.
I appreciate that very much, Mr. Chairman and witnesses. I think this is a very important hearing. I apologize that I had another hearing going on and I'm now being called to the floor. I usually like to sit and listen from beginning to end because I learned so much, but thank you all so much for being here and educating us on this important issue. I yield back.
Gentleman yield.